Ahead on Q2, dangers on the roadway.
Most of the time with teen drivers, it's just that we don't think.
A sobering statistic now has some teen drivers slowing down before tragedy strikes. Plus, seeds of success.
They're brand new plants. I have no idea what people are going to think of them, but I'm very excited.
One Billings woman has seen her passion of gardening blossom into a business. And from gravel to greenery.
42-year-old first-generation farmers is not sexy, and it's not well-funded.
We'll tell you how one couple transformed a gravel pit into a Montana retreat. The MTN 430 News starts right now. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday. I'm Russ Riesinger. Teen drivers in Montana grow up fast and hit the road even faster. But out here, wide open spaces come with real risks. Motor vehicle crashes are the leading cause of teen deaths. Our Marcus Kakova takes a look at the dangers of the road for new drivers and how one is preparing to take things slower.
Headed back to school for some much needed driver's ed, but this time I'll be riding shotgun to a teen who's just 2 weeks behind the wheel. Thankfully, Grandma will be in the back seat, so someone will know how to drive.
Pollyanna Patterson is a Laurel freshman homeschool student.
For career interest, I do like doing hair and nails and stuff, so I probably would do cosmetology.
And that's what's taking us on a quick drive today. A little mock errand to a big business.
Well, she likes makeup, and Walmart has that, and so that's why we go here.
This is Nancy Patterson, Pollyanna's grandma.
I love her to death. She has a sister, too, that I love.
It's a 1.5-mile trip to Wally World, a big step for a new driver.
I think I pay more attention to the gas because I have to watch myself to make sure I don't go too fast or too slow.
Eager to take the wheel towards freedom, Pollyanna's enrolled in summer driver's ed at Laurel High School.
She sees her older friends driving and going here and there, and she kind of sometimes gets left behind. And so, yeah, her eagerness to drive can also cause you to have accidents and things, too, if you're in a hurry.
And in Montana, this rite of passage comes with real risks. Motor vehicle crashes are the leading cause of death for teens here, accounting for nearly 1 in 3 teen fatalities, among the highest in the nation.
Just trying to predict what other people are going to do, like where they're going to turn, or sometimes people don't put on their blinkers and stuff. Otherwise, it's just focusing on what I'm doing, like who's crossing the street or what's in the road.
Which is why Nancy isn't just a passenger. She's kind of a coach, offering wisdom only grandmas have, so Pollyanna can focus on blushes, brushes, and color palettes.
Take her time, not to be in a big hurry to get here or there. This world is a fast-paced place.
Marcus Kakova, MTN News.
That was a pretty good day to be driving around much of Montana and Wyoming, but as you can see behind me, there are some changes moving our way. Rain and thunderstorms over Saskatchewan, southern Alberta, and right along the high line. This is the next cold front moving our direction, and it's going to take its own sweet time, but eventually moving down to our part of the world. Right now, hardly a cloud, mainly over the mountains right now, but the temperatures well above average. So as we go through the evening hours, overnight into tomorrow, there will be some noticeable changes. First of all, we'll have increasing clouds, more breezes, and a slight chance for showers and storms, mainly late tonight before sunrise tomorrow. We'll also have decreasing clouds tomorrow afternoon. The breezy wind is still going to be there, and it will be a lot cooler. Our 7-day forecast coming up.
A road in the Billings Heights is now closed after a collapsed ditch crossing. Robertson Road is shut down at the intersection of Lake Elmo Drive, and the City of Billings Public Works says it will remain closed until Tuesday of next week. The closure is near the Montana Department of Fish, Wildlife and Parks office out there on Lake Elmo. Drivers are told to possibly expect delays in that area and take additional routes when possible. The Department of Education has announced student loans in the SAVE plan will start accruing interest again in August. This comes on the heels of the Trump administration's Big Beautiful Bill that carries big changes to student loans overall. Scripps News' Holly Furfer has the latest on how the budget bill will impact student loans.
From how to pay to how much can be borrowed to how to pay it back. The Trump administration's budget bill has a new rule for that.
The big takeaways is that borrowers are going to have fewer options to repay their student loans, and they're going to be paying more, and in many cases, much longer.
The sweeping rules the president signed into law make important distinctions between current borrowers and new ones. Here's what you need to know if you're one of the 43 million Americans who currently owe money on student loans. 3 repayment programs, the pay-as-you-earn, income contingent repayment, and SAVE plans are being phased out by July 2028. And if you're in a SAVE plan, pending litigation could put you back into repayment much sooner.
So those borrowers are still going to be sort of waiting and subject to what happens in the litigation. They remain very much in limbo for now.
The income-driven repayment plans are expected to migrate to a new one called the Repayment Assistance Plan, or RAP, expected to raise monthly payments.
The RAP plan is totally different because they don't carve out any amount of income to meet your basic needs. Instead, they apply a percentage to your entire adjusted gross income.
Previous repayment plans only considered income above 150% of the poverty level. There are some upsides.
This bill does increase the number of times you're allowed to rehabilitate out of default from 1 to 2.
New borrowers will see the biggest changes with more stringent caps on borrowing for parents, graduate students, and professional schools, raising concerns for hopeful law students like Daniel Soria.
A lot of the aid that I would have relied on to make it financially viable is no longer going to be available.
New borrowers will also be limited to 2 repayment plans, a standard repayment plan, or RAP.
The one other important thing I would flag for existing borrowers is that they will be treated as new borrowers next year if they consolidate their loans.
Shafroth's advice: if you're thinking of consolidating your loans, do it before July 2026 to have the most options.
Cases of the measles just hit a 33-year high in the United States. Health officials have reported 1,288 cases this year across 38 states, with most of them in Texas. Here in Montana, the state has seen at least 25 confirmed cases now, with 17 coming in Gallatin County alone. These are the first cases in the Treasure State since 1990. It comes as the MMR vaccination rate has fallen nationally by 2.3%.
The vaccination rates for MMR, measles, mumps, rubella, have not been high enough to prevent community transmission. So we've seen this big outbreak in Texas, but now spillovers into other states, so smaller outbreaks in other states. We're also seeing importations from other countries, so returning travelers from outside the country is driving some of this as well.
The CDC recommends getting the MMR vaccine at 12 to 15 months for the first dose and then 4 to 6 years for the second dose. However, those recommendations were in place when community transmission of the measles had basically ended here in the U.S. The World Health Organization and other countries recommend a first dose as young as 6 to 9 months. It's the time of the year many of us are tending to flowers or growing vegetables. Now one young Billings woman has taken her passion for gardening to the next level. Not only has it blossomed into a business, but created her very own plant species. Our Haley Monaco checks in with the gardener as she grows her success.
And it just kind of comes along with the territory.
Monet Bjerken has been busy in the last year, growing a blooming business.
I've been creating new plants that haven't existed before.
This is a look at her indoor greenhouse when she first got started in February 2024 with 180 plants.
Plants like this.
Now,
so I have about 2,500 plants in the house right now, just because each hybrid, I have 487 of this one. I have 200 something of another one.
Each small seedling is the creation of Monet's, a new plant she has watered to life.
No one knows what they're going to look like because they're brand new. But this is the mother plant and this is the father plant. And so it'll look like a combination of these two, essentially.
If you want to get your hands on one of these rare new plants, starting Friday the 11th is your perfect chance.
This weekend is Foliage Fest. I'm doing an event with Ganans in the Heights here.
It's a partnership that has deep roots for Monet.
I bought my first plant actually from Ganans. And so to be able to work with them is such a full circle moment.
Ganans will be bringing in tropical plants available to buy for the 2-day event.
So they'll have a whole selection for you guys, as well as my rare plants and my hybrids.
Monet says her life feels like a dream come true already, but the 22-year-old has even more plant-filled goals.
At the end of the day, I want to open a conservatory. I want to have a free public space where people can come enjoy the plants that I love so much.
Filled with her very own creations. In Billings, Haley Monaco, MTN News.
An Alberton couple poured their savings and hard work into transforming a gravel pit into a regenerative farm. Now they're ready to share the land and a message. MTN's Carolyn Weiss has tonight's Montana Ag Report.
Rewild Ranch outside Alberton has transformed a gravel pit into a whole lot more.
Not a lot of people would look at this property and say, hey, we should totally make that a farm. It's been quite an undertaking.
Now, it looks pretty idyllic, but when Jill Demers and Jay Garland bought the ranch,
we had a caved-in trailer house, about 7 abandoned vehicles up in the pasture,
refrigerators in the driveway,
mattresses, an entire shed full of old paint cans, a dead deer floating in the septic tank.
They'd been living next door in a VW van and then a house they built when their neighbors looked to sell the 58 acres.
I knew we just had to do this. So that was more relentlessness and grit than it was fortune.
Now they've got a small regenerative farm up and running.
We're using goats, livestock guardian dogs to help kind of mitigate weeds, but also restore the soil.
The couple are first-time farmers.
42-year-old first-generation farmers is not sexy, and it's not well-funded.
And they had a hard time breaking in.
We could not get traditional funding. It was kind of a nightmare, and we literally almost had to sell the place as a result, so we got creative.
And that led them to agritourism.
Agriculture and the idea of a homestead life is having a moment.
This summer, they're opening up an eco-lodge to host up to 12 people. They were fine-tuning it when I caught up with them 2 weeks ago. Demers is a nutrition therapist and plans to host classes and, eventually, community events.
We just have always had this vision of having a farm, not necessarily to sell food for money, but for me more from an educational perspective, because I really see food as our deepest connection to nature on a daily basis.
And they hope their approach could help inspire others well past their property line.
I believe that this can create a new narrative with a new economy that will actually infuse enough money into our small farms in the state of Montana so that we can actually invest and make them profitable and keep Montana's farmlands in Montanans' hands.
The couple is always looking ahead, but sometimes they stop to look back at the gravel pit across the road and think of where it started.
It's sort of if like a private project could be a Superfund site, maybe it would be or would have been, but we've really taken it and made it what we think is really beautiful and inviting, and we're really excited to open it to the community.
In Alberton, Caroline Weiss, MTN News.